All right. Welcome back to the Enlightened Life Day 3. We are moving into our second session of the afternoon, sixth session of the day. Change your breath, change your life with the wonderful Jess Holliday. I'm so glad and happy and grateful to welcome Jess into this space with us. Jess and I met in my dear beloved Lake Atitlan, Guatemala several years ago. I know it's your dear beloved lake as well. Anybody who's ever been there, it will become your dear beloved lake. uh, that's why I can't stay away. I still host a retreat in Lake Atitlan every single year called Wisdom of the Elements, because not only is that lake so special and so powerful, but bringing people there for the first time just is the most deep honor, I think, in this human existence. And so Jess and I met at this beautiful, wonderful sacred lake in 2016. We were attending a month-long metaphysics retreat together. And I just love Jess's journey, how she has been all over the world, learning from some of the greats, transforming her own experience, really becoming a student and a master of her human experience and what the integration of body, mind, and spirit looks like. And Jess is a self-proclaimed breath nerd, yogi, and Vedic meditation and mindset transformation coach. She has personally experienced a liberation from drug and alcohol addiction and corporate burnout. And I understand that you're celebrating 1,000 days sober.
That's right.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it's a little bit over now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about 1,000 days in a month, somewhere like that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, unbelievable. And I imagine the amount of clarity and connection that has come in that space is just unbelievable. And I know that you'll transmit some of that to us here today. And Jess was inspired to found her organization, Be Here Well, as a new paradigm in wellness education. And what I love specifically about her organization, Be Here Well, is that phrase comes from the teachings by a wonderful man named Martin Precel, who actually was a student of a shaman at Lake Atitlan, Guatemala. That's the book, Secrets of the Talking Jaguar. It's fantastic. And so, Jess, I'd love for you to share a little bit about this whole concept of Be Here Well and what that really means as we are in this conversation of navigating everything about our lives with ease and joy.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Monica, for having me here. You know, you've brought together such an incredible group of people. It's a real honor to be stood shoulder to shoulder. So, yeah, I mean, Be Here Well, as you know, was inspired by our work together, which just makes it even more special for me. I just feel this weave of collaboration between you and I, and just these threads that are coming from our interactions. And it's really born out of this idea of, you know, being present in this very moment, but also just being so present to what we need so that we can show up being the best version of ourselves in every now moment, essentially. So it's paying attention to our well-being, it's paying attention to our presence of mind, it's paying attention to every single level of us, whether it be spiritual, mental, emotional, or physical, and just bringing together that sort of holistic sense of who we are as an individual, and just making sure that we're paying attention and in this now moment, because obviously, you know, we create our reality from every now moment. So it's just a case of sort of being present to what is and administering to that. And I think in this particular case, what we're going through right now is just being so present to what we're all experiencing and acknowledging that that's where we're at, you know, to just recognize and understand that us having a slightly turbulent experience is a normal reaction to a situation which is so unnormal. You know, we all talk about this new normal and we try to normalize everything, whereas actually we need to be present to what is, you know, so that we can show up for ourselves and administer. And I've heard so many of the great, you know, the teachers that we've had come before us just saying, you know, being present to what we need in the moment so that we can just grow and evolve. But just nurturing, just this self-care is just so important. So that's kind of what it is in a nutshell, really. So yeah.
I love that. I really, really love that. And it's reminding me of a conversation that we had yesterday afternoon with Susan Weed about this idea that there is no balance in the universe, because when it's balance and there's absolutely no movement, there's not a brush of air or a warmth from the sun's rays or a slight ripple in the rivers or the ocean, like it's almost like this sense of balance. It's a vacuum, and that's what we expect normal to look like, where there's no ups, there's no downs, there's no nothing, there's no push,
Right.
there's no pull. And life isn't like that,
Mm.
right? Life, there is no normal. When we reach normal, it's like we've just sort of given up and let life become so complacent. And
Mm.
so I love how you work with the breath and this dynamic exchange, as we've been talking about, to really be in the flow of whatever comes and be here now and be here well,
Mm-hmm.
fully and wholly.
Mm. I love that. I love how you describe that. It's wonderful words, as always.
So why breath nerd, Jess? Because I love, people, as we were talking about with Livy, she really focused on this idea of grieving and navigating change and loss with easefulness. And what is it about the breath that really pulled you in as the modality that was calling to you?
I think it's because basically I have a background in psychology, so I've kind of got like a scientific background from my sort of from my previous life, and I've moved in as time has gone on into more of a spiritual realm as well. So I've experienced, my first experience of breathwork was through pranayama, which is this really ancient, amazing technique and really etheric and esoteric. But as time has gone on, I've also learnt the scientific side of things, so the evidence-based side of things. And what I've found is that breathwork as a topic, I mean, somebody very colloquially sort of said the other day, breathwork is the new yoga, and it's kind of having a little bit of a reawakening. But for me, why it's so fascinating is that it really sits at this lovely crossroads between sort of ancient wisdom and funky neuroscience. So I get to geek out about it through the both modalities of the things that I love. So I can be a yogi and geek out about breath, and I can be a bit of a sciencey geek and geek out about breath. So I'm just winning all over.
I love it. Talk about being in alignment with your true nature.
Totally.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited about your session, Jess, because I know you've got a lot of experiential opportunities for us here to really practice what we are preaching about this weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. And I will be back at the end of your session for some conversation and Q&A.
Brilliant. Okay. Thanks, Monica. And yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for having me. And I get to break away in this session and really sort of focus in on the breath. We've had dashes of breath in some of the other sessions, but this session is really about focusing in on the power of breath and the power of the breath that it has to really change your life. And as Monica said, the topic of my session today is change your breath, change your life. And what I'm going to get into is there's going to be loads of interaction. So we've got that sort of, depending on where you are in the world, for me, it's now coming up to 9 o'clock at night, but I know there's lots of people who are just coming off their sort of lunch. So we're going to wake you up with some interaction. There's going to be plenty of interaction in the chat. So make sure that you do, drop your comments in there. But there's going to be some practical tools and some, take home practices and exercises that you can do that are really designed to help you take back your control, which in the context of everything that we've been talking about is just so important. So it's going to be about why, conscious breathing is really why it is so important. And I would almost say why it's paramount to our health and our well-being on every level. So whether it be spiritual, physical, mental, or emotional, when we start to think about breath work as an empowering skill, I've heard some of the other speakers talk about this, and but yeah, really just breaking away and seeing breath work not just as something that we do on the yoga mat with our yoga practice and our asana, but really breaking away and using the breath as an empowering skill for change. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take a bit of a straw poll here. So my first question, and I just want you to drop your guess in the comments, is how many breaths do you think we take on an average day? I just want you to put in a number into the comments down below. So I'll just wait for those to pop in. How many breaths do you think we take on an average day? Let's see, 100, 150, 84,000 from Courtney. Renee says 1,000. Sunny says no idea. Any more guesses? Okay, well, we've got a nice spectrum. Okay, 20,000 from Nicole. I think maybe she might have read some texts. Seeing if we have any more responses coming in. Any last guesses? So we've got a good spectrum there, but the prize goes to Nicole. She's the closest. We actually take about 25 to 30,000 breaths per day. And the number is sort of not so much irrelevant, but I just wanted to point out that we take 25 to 30,000 breaths a day. And the majority of those breaths are unconscious. So we're breathing without even thinking. We have an autonomic nervous system, and we're just doing 25,000 breaths or so. We're just doing it without even thinking. And when you start to take a conscious breath, when you really start to dig into breathing with purpose, this is when you can start to just change your life, and you can also start to get a little bit of an unfair advantage over other people. So I want to just get us into this session. So I want you to just take a nice deep breath in, let it out through your mouth, let your shoulders drop. Do a really big sigh just to relax into this space. So again, take a nice deep breath in and let it out through the mouth, letting your shoulders drop, maybe allowing your head to just drop back just a little bit. And one more, just breathe in and breathe out. So congratulations, you've just learned your first breath technique, and that was the sigh of relief, or a little bit of a breath of fresh air. And I want you to just bring a nice smile across your face. So there's a nice thing there, which is that every breath or every emotional state has a different breath attached to it. So as you've noticed there, it would be pretty impossible for you to be angry whilst doing a sigh of relief like that. And that sigh, that dropping of the shoulders, is more of an indicative sign of being in your sort of rested and relaxed state than it is being in a heightened or a stressed out state. And I also want to just do a little bit of a quick test now to see where we're at. So without me giving you any guidance, what I want you to do is I just want you all to just take a nice deep breath in, short, sharp breath, and just a deep breath in. And then what I want you to do is I just want you to tell me, drop in the comments, you can let the breath go, but just tell me, did your tummy go in? Did you suck it up? Or did your tummy go out as you breathed in? Just out of curiosity, I just want you to tell me, did your tummy go in? Or did your tummy go out? So just let me see what there are, the comments. Tummy go in, okay. Yeah, a lot of people are saying in. Okay, and this is really because a lot of us tend to breathe backwards, and it's not your fault. I'm seeing a lot of people breathing out, which is great as well, but there is a lot of conditioning that goes into this. And I want to touch on something which is perhaps a little bit, this idea of perfection that we've been talking about is probably an indirect affectation on how we're breathing that we wouldn't necessarily expect, which is how many of us have been told to suck our stomachs in, especially as women. I know we've got some guys on here, I think, but how many of us have been told to suck our tummies in to attain that perfect bikini body? So we have forgotten how to breathe from our bellies. And basically, we're losing a lot of the capacity of our breath, which comes from down here. So we're not taught how to breathe properly when we're younger, and we've actually forgotten how to breathe from our lower belly. So, the diaphragm is in here. If you jam your fingers in underneath your ribs under there, that's kind of muscle under there. I can see there's some people who have practiced some diaphragmatic breathing, which is brilliant. If you jam your fingers in under there, you'll notice that that's where there's a funny muscle, and that's your diaphragm. And when you inhale, it actually contracts down. And when you do an active inhale, when you relax and you do an exhale, it relaxes back up. So this sort of diaphragmatic muscle is sort of moving a little bit like this, and that's what's moving your tummy in and out. So it's just to say that this conscious breathing, or in terms of like conscious breathing, why it's important, it's this idea of taking a conscious breath, being aware of what we can do with each of those 25,000 breaths, and also just learning that we can learn to breathe more fully and to breathe the proper way, which is actually to inhale, belly goes out, exhale, belly goes in. So as I say, I'm going to share with you just some simple ways, some simple practices where you can change your mind state, which is also going to change up your physiology and your anatomy. So we've already practiced moving our tummies in a slightly different way. And what this means is it's going to give you like the upper hand when it comes to stressful situations. And why this is such an important topic for our session, our retreat today, but in general during the turbulent time that we've experienced during 2020, is that we really need to take care of ourselves. And not only that, our caregivers and our key workers really need to learn how to take care of themselves. So many of us are in these stressful times we're breathing from our upper chest up here, and we're breathing really fast. So a lot of people are breathing between sort of 8 to 12 breaths per minute, which is quite fast. And they are, as I say, breathing either from their upper chest, or they're breathing through their mouths. And what this means is that a lot of us are chronically stuck in our sympathetic nervous state. So we have sympathetic and parasympathetic. They're the two branches of our nervous system, I'm sorry. And a lot of us, without really even knowing it, are very, very stuck in our sympathetic nervous system state. Now, unchecked, 90% of doctors' visits are caused by stress. And there's a lot of people who are experiencing, chronic stress. They can't sleep at night. They're going to bed wired but tired. And this is all to do with the fact that their mind-body connection, they're breathing from up here. So breathing from your upper chest up here sends a signal to your brain that you're actually in this survival state. So your body is constantly in this stressed out state. And we just don't give ourselves enough time to decompress and to switch into our parasympathetic nervous system state. So it's just this idea that we tend to start, when we're stuck in this sympathetic nervous system, we almost get muscle memory. Like, I know there's probably a lot of you who are maybe experiencing stress where your shoulders are up all the time, and your body literally goes into this muscle memory where it gets used to breathing in a particular way. And the key is really to recognize that that's happening and know that you can do something about it, and you can shift your body into a different state. So I want, again, to do another audience participation. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your index finger, it doesn't matter whether it's your left or your right, and I want you to put it underneath your nose like so. And I want you to do 3 short, sharp exhales. And what I want you to just test is which of your nostrils gives you the strongest exhalation, the strongest sort of wind flow. So just go and just give me the first answer that comes. This is not a super scientific test, but so I'm seeing right from Courtney. I've got Monica's got her left. Nancy is right. We've got left from Sunny, left from Nicole. Okay. So what you're noticing is that you do have a stronger flow through one or other of your nostrils. And what this means is, when we look at our nervous system, our left nostril here is connected to our parasympathetic, the right-hand side of our brain, which is our parasympathetic nervous system response. Our right nostril is connected to our left brain, which is connected to our sympathetic nervous system response. So it makes sense to me that there are a few of you who are sort of left and a few of you that are right, given that we are shifting just from coming from lunch. So some of you might be still digesting your food, so you might be sitting in that parasympathetic rest digest mode. And some of you are sitting there alert, you're paying attention, and so you've moved into your sympathetic right side where you're alert and you're paying attention. And both are right, but what you need to know is that we move through these cycles of sympathetic and parasympathetic naturally. Our natural cycles, when we're restoring our natural cycles, we tend to move through them in sort of about an hour and a half circles or cycles, as it were. And with this simple test, you can just ascertain which mode you're actually in. So you can do this, you can take this and use this throughout your day, just to see and check in with yourself and see, like, what state am I in? This is particularly useful when you're trying to get to sleep at night and maybe you're having difficulty falling asleep. And it might be that you're still in quite a stressed state. So just check in with yourself, see whether you're breathing through your right nostril more dominantly. And that's just a good indication that you're still in your sympathetic nervous system state, and that you just need to wind down and look at having more of a wind down routine that's going to push you more into the parasympathetic state, ready for you to fall asleep and go to bed. So as I mentioned in the intro, basically my work, or the work that I do with Be Here Well, and the breathing particularly, is really about being at the crossroads between sort of this ancient wisdom and modern day science and evidence-based facts, because I'm really passionate about helping to bring this off the mat. I'm very familiar with doing breathing in accompaniment to our yoga practice. But this is really about thinking about breath as almost like the currency of your energy or emotional bank account. So we can look into how we can control the breath. Is learning how to control your breath is a way of learning to be in control and using it in your wider life, so your day-to-day life, learning how to weave it in and use it so that you can relax on demand, or so that you can wake up and be energized on demand, because the breath is so powerful. You have the ability to slightly change the pH levels in your blood. You can reduce the cortisol, stress levels, your anxiety. You can increase your energy, your focus, and improve your digestion even. So it's an incredibly important thing that we've all kind of taken our eye off a little bit. And actually, when we start to just focus in on it as this empowering skill set, we really do have the power to become that center of our own storm. So what I want to do now is I want to share with you the first breathing practice of the day. And so I just want to provide a little bit of space for us to briefly pause. And I'm going to introduce to you a balancing breathing technique, which is called alternate nostril breathing, or Nadi Shodhana, if you're familiar with it in yoga. So to lift this off the mat and into your life, what I want you to know is, if you're familiar with this practice already, I will teach you through it if you're not. But this is the idea of just using a balancing practice, which is going to help shift us into an alpha brainwave state. It's going to balance us out. So if you're feeling slightly low or sluggish, it's going to bring you back up to center. If you're feeling quite heightened, it's going to bring you down to the center, back again. So this is a balancing process, a balancing breathing exercise. And we can use our diaphragm to really venerate our vagus nerve, which is connected to our parasympathetic nervous system. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our hands in what's called a Pranayama Mudra. So some of you may be familiar with placing your two-piece fingers on your forehead. You're perfectly welcome to do it that way if you'd like, or you can fold your fingers down into your palm. I find this just neater just for this practice, because I find this more suitable for yoga and meditation, and this more suitable for what we're doing, but both are completely relevant. So you can fold your fingers down into your palm, and you have your little finger and your middle finger there pointing up, your ring finger, sorry, and your thumb. So it's almost like this hang loose symbol, but with your two fingers sticking up like so. And the process will be is that you're going to use your right thumb to cover off your right nostril. And we're going to start and finish always with the left. The left is connected to the parasympathetic. So it's going to start and end with the nervous system connected to the parasympathetic, the rest, digest, restorative response. And what we're going to do is we're going to count, and we're going to inhale for a count of 4 up the left. Pinch the left, release the right, exhale down the right for a count of 4. Inhale up the right, close the right, exhale left for a count of 4. That's one round. And we're going to do about 10 rounds or so, and I'll guide you through it. And I also just want to touch in on the power of combining breath work with intention. So what you can do as we're doing this, given that it is a balancing practice, is that I invite you to, in the 4 count, you can come up with your own mantras, but you could even say, I am balanced. And then on the way out, I am peaceful. I am balanced. I am peaceful. And if you just start to use this intention with the power of your breath and the focus to balance yourselves out, it's an incredibly powerful experience. So I'm just going to see if I'm going to share some music for this whilst we do it. I'm just going to make sure that it's working. Okay, I think that's working. So basically, we're going to, if you're sitting in a chair, that's totally fine. Just plant your feet flat on the ground with your feet and your knees about hip width distance apart, and just making yourself nice and comfortable as possible. Comfort is queen in this case. And like I said, taking your hand in this Pranayama Mudra, we're going to just put our right thumb onto our right nostril. You're going to just relax the rest of your face. You can close your eyes for this practice if you like. And I'm just going to start the music and have it down here. So we're going to start together. So inhaling through the left nostril for 1, 2, 3, 4. Close the left, release the right, exhale 4, 3, 2,
1. Stay right here. Inhale right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Close right. Release left. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale left. I am peaceful. Close your left. Release your right. Exhale. I am balanced. Inhale right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Close right. Release left. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. And just keep going like that in your own rhythm. I'll tell you when it's time to come back.
And on your next exhale, out your left nostril, just releasing your hand down to your lap, just relaxing and breathing normally. And just as you're coming back into this time and space, I just want you to reflect for a moment on how your body feels right now. Maybe just popping a word into the comments box below, but does your body feel more or less relaxed? Or do you feel any more or less anxiety? Just tuning into the changes that have occurred in your mind, your body. just from doing that gentle practice. Balanced and more relaxed from Courtney, perfect. Yeah, so this balancing practice, or lighter, Nicole, I like that. That's great. So what we're doing with this breath is that we're taking our normal rate of breathing, which is about 8 to 12 breaths per minute, and we're cutting it in half. So we're taking the same amount of air, but we're breathing it at a much slower rate. So to give you a bit of an analogy, if you were to take a pint of beer and chug it really, really, really fast, you're going to feel the effects of that alcohol a lot faster than if you were to drink that beer over the course of, say, 2 hours. So we're just taking our breath, the normal amount of breath that we would normally breathe, which is about 6 liters. And I've just seen the message from Sunny. Yeah, difficult, calm. And then my husband walked in and I feel his judgment. Get him to join in. So we're just basically sending a message to our brains that we are cool, calm, and collected. And as I say, this is something that you can use any time of the day, and I encourage you to do so. I encourage you to share it. And I've just found that breathing has been an absolutely essential over the last, few months, particularly just offering us a chance to check in, to pause, to restore, to ground ourselves, and to just see what we're feeling and how we're feeling, and also just knowing that we have the power to do something about it, to change the way that we're feeling. And I mean, this whole retreat, I would say that we're talking about perfection, but ultimately we're all talking about equanimity in various different modalities, which is this idea of, being able to stand in the stillness amidst all the stillness, or to be the center of your own storm. And by training your breath, if we start to build this resilience, or this inner peace, this sense of unshakable wisdom and well-being at our core, and there's really no better way to learn to control your mind and to build a resilience to stress than by working with the breath. So I'd like to do another little test, so full of audience participation. And what I want to do with you now is I want to do an empty breath hold test with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to do just 3 normal breaths, or 2 normal breaths. And then at the bottom of the 3rd breath, I'm going to ask you to just hold your breath empty. Now, what I want to stress right now is this is not, I don't want you to push yourself. I want you to just basically come out of this. We're going to time it. I'm going to hold up a little stopwatch, and I want you to just note down the time. So when you hold your breath empty at the bottom of the breath, just try and relax into it, but don't force it. What I'm looking for you to look out for is just that little flip that your stomach makes. It's a bit like when you're a kid and you're in the pool and you were swimming and you just felt that, like, that feeling that's in your stomach. I just want you to stop at the first flurry that you feel, where your body is going like, I need to breathe right now. So we're going to do 2 breaths. And then on the 3rd breath, I'm just going to ask you to hold empty. So if that's all clear, so let's just do some nice balancing breaths. So inhale through both nostrils for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, here we go. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold empty. Just try and relax into it. You're just looking for the first little flurry, little flutter in your stomach. It's usually somewhere between 15 and 30 seconds. If you've already ducked out, it's totally normal. And when you've finished, I'm going to keep this timer just going up for about 30 seconds, but I just want you to write your time in the chat so we can kind of see. So if anybody's still holding beyond 30, you're doing very well. Okay, I'm getting some numbers in here. So if anyone's beyond 30, 40, then bravo. Yeah, so these numbers we've got in, we can see that they are very different. So some are 5 and some are up to, wow, 34. What this is just a very sort of unscientific, but a little measure of actually how CO2 tolerant you are. So when you hold your breath empty like that, your body is continuing to create CO2. And it's actually your body's intolerance to CO2 is what's giving you that, what's called breath hunger. So breath hunger is not running out of oxygen. It's actually that your body has created too much CO2 and it needs to breathe to get it out. But, you know, CO2 gets a really bad press. You know, everybody's obviously going on about the carbon footprint and things like that, but CO2 is your friend. I'd like to get a t-shirt that says CO2 is the good guy, because CO2 is a vasodilator. So it opens up your veins and your breathing passageways as well. And when you learn to manipulate the breath and hold empty, I mean, you literally just then will have felt almost like your consciousness kicking and screaming, saying like, I need to breathe right now. And when you learn to control your breath, learn to get comfortable in uncomfortable situations in a normal situation, in a normal time, then when things are stressful, your body is much more used to that stressful situation, more used to having more CO2 in your body. So by changing how you're breathing and deliberately, consciously putting yourself into stressful situations, as it were, your body just learns to deal and cope with stress much more. And what I want to say to, it doesn't have a name, but the one with a 5, you know, 5, there's nothing wrong with 5. And you can train your body to increase that. So you can make notes of those numbers, you can do breathing, and you can continue to do empty breath holds and use that as a measure of you against yourself. It doesn't matter what anybody else has. The only measure that matters is you versus you. So you could take that 5 and you could do breath training and you could increase it, and you can just keep a measure on how your body is responding to carbon dioxide. So I'm conscious of time. I want to move into the second breath practice, which is hopefully going to spruce us all up and keep you awake and make you nice and alert for the next session. So we're going to do a practice of breath of fire, or Kapalabhati, if you are familiar with the Sanskrit name. But basically, breath of fire is a highly up-regulating practice. And I mentioned obviously before, when we're breathing, we should be breathing in and our bellies go out. And as we exhale, our belly falls as a passive exhale. But for this, we're going to activate our sympathetic nervous system by deliberately forcing the exhale. So as we exhale, using just our nose, almost like a sneeze, we're going to blow the air out and force it out really forcefully. And we do that by using our abdomen to flick in like so. So it's going to sound and look like this. And what I want is short, sharp, controlled exhales. I don't want it to get too out of control. And we're going to do 3 rounds of 20. So again, it's going to look like this. Try to keep your shoulders nice and level. Come and sitting in your chair, maybe sitting on the edge of your chair so that your back can be straight, but your torso is relaxed. You can have your hands just resting on your knees. Your feet are planted flat on the floor. Knees are hip width distance apart. You can close your eyes for this if you would like. And I'm going to count us in. So remember, it's going to be a short, sharp exhale. We're going to do 3 rounds of 20. First round, here we go. So 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 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 exhale. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax and just breathe normally. So I want you to just try and keep in mind, you want to keep the rest of your body relaxed, your face and your shoulders just relaxed, and the movement is coming from your abdomen. So it's a short, sharp exhale. And you're forcing your abs, you're forcing the air out with your abs. So as I say, it's an active exhale and a passive inhale. So it's not all done on one breath. You're just doing 20 short, sharp exhales. The inhale comes in on its own. So round 2, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 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 exhale. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax and just breathe normally. We've got 1 more round to go. So this is just a really effective way of stimulating your body. You can use this first thing in the morning to wake your system up. You can use it before doing any busy work or any physical work, or even just to help you with willpower and to bring your focus into line and to wake you up. So last round coming into that. So 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 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 exhale. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax and just breathe normally. So with the coffee breathing, with this breath of fire, we're increasing our breath to over 30 breaths per minute. So compared to the water breathing before, the balanced breathing, we're really invigorating our bodies, and we're throwing off a lot of CO2, which is having physiological impacts on our body. You might feel a little bit lightheaded. What's actually happening in your body is that your blood oxygen levels are going slightly up. You've changed the pH levels of your blood slightly. So it's a little bit more alkaline because we've dropped the CO2, and the carbon dioxide is acidic. So we've made our blood slightly more alkaline. And so just by doing this, I want you to just notice that it's possible to very, very quickly change the state, and you feel warm all over. Yes. So we're dumping off the CO2, which, as I mentioned, the CO2 is a vasodilator. So normally when we have CO2, our veins are nice and open, but when we've closed off our veins, we've dumped off the CO2. So the blood is pumping around our bodies much, much faster. So we're putting ourselves deliberately almost into that stress state, like we might have done, having done, say, the 100 meters or something, but we're doing it in a controlled way. So you can use this to warm you up. So I want to just close by really reiterating some of the points, but I want to echo something that Kelly and Amy spoke about yesterday, which is just that self-care is not a treat. You know, self-care really should be considered to be a skill set. You know, so many people, often women especially, will dismiss self-care thinking that it's self-indulgent for them to do it. But breathwork is just, I think, one of the most essential self-care skill sets that we should develop and be taught from a young age. You know, I wish I had been taught this a lot earlier. I'm grateful that I know this practice now, but I just don't know anything that is as predictable and as transformative as either using esoteric pranayama or scientific breathwork like this, really to change your state. So I want you to just take a breath now and let it go. And just repeat the mantra in your mind. So the key to relaxation is in the exhalation. So if you remember anything from today, just focus in on the exhalation. It's connected to your yin, it's connected to the parasympathetic. The key to relaxation is in the exhalation. So take action today, teach this to somebody else, and model this for your kids and pass it on. So that's it from me, and I'm guessing Monica will pop back on just now.
Wow, thank you so much, Jess. I absolutely love this intersection between the psychology and the yogic philosophy that you bring into the conversation of breath, because so many of us are left-brained and we want to understand why things are working. So I love that we get to have all of these tools now in our belt to not only immediately feel the effects, but have the understanding and the intellect between why it worked and how we were able to elicit that change in the body, so that when we're in these moments of feeling the sympathetic nervous system on overdrive, or not being able to sleep, or needing to downregulate our entire body and spirit, we have these alternative tools and methodologies and ways of being, and the understanding of why they will help. So we get to make that true mind-body connection between the state that we're in and the state that we wish to be in. I really loved that process. And I'm just curious if everybody would like to share in the chat, which of these exercises was your favorite? Which one kind of resonated with where you're at today? Because a lot of this too is about understanding where we're at and what we need, and allowing our process of self-care to be flexible and bendable and moldable to who we are right now in this moment, which is constantly transforming.
Mm-hmm.
And Janet's asking the name of the book that you shared, Jess.
Oh, it's called The Secrets of the Talking Jaguar, Memoirs from the Living Heart of a Mayan Village by Martin Pratchell. I'll put a copy. I don't know if is that reverse for you, or is that the right way? It's reversed for me.
Legit.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't recommend that book enough. I think I traveled to like 4 different countries with mine. It's all tattered. The cover's like falling apart. It's a fantastic book. A lot of folks tapping in with the breath of fire. A couple about the Janet alternate nostril breath. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you know, I just love it because we've all, you know, I can tell there's a lot of people who are probably more familiar with it from a yogic point of view. And this is just about them harnessing what they already know and bringing it and making it relevant to their day to day. you know, so lifting it off the yoga mat and placing it, because I had experience in yoga, you know, I was the same, and I knew these breathwork practices, but this is why I just loved that fusion, as you said, Monica, of the science with the yoga and the yogic wisdom. So I get to use them both. You know, I've had transformative experiences with the pranayama, but I've had transformative day-to-day, you know, on a day-to-day level, you know, by using this, you know, in my life and weaving it in, making it relevant, because that's really a passion of mine, is just trying to make everything as accessible and as relevant in this hectic modern world as possible, so that whether you're 5 or 85, you know, you can use these practices and see change in your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I see that Rochelle has dropped the link to Secrets in the chat, and she'll also go ahead and drop the link to the gift that you're sharing with our beautiful community here. And just quickly scrolling up to the comments, Courtney, I love that you mentioned that you are a Vata type dosha. And so the alternate nostril breathing was really helpful for grounding and relaxing that Vata. And actually tomorrow afternoon, I will be giving a talk on harnessing your gifts through the wisdom of Ayurveda. So if you have no idea what Vata means, we will learn about that tomorrow. There are 3 mind-body constitutions that really do dictate our internal state of being, not only when we're fully expressed and we're aligned with our gifts, but what our stress imprint looks like. And that is different for each and every one of us. So sometimes, you know, when we come up, and this has come up in the chat a couple of times, like, I'm trying the things, but they're not working. And it could very well be that the things that you're trying, while they are fabulous tools and fabulous methodology, it doesn't necessarily click with your nature, with your constitution. So you'll develop a much deeper understanding of that tomorrow. So Jess, this was amazing. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this with all of us. So fabulous to get this connection to breath in this way. And we will go ahead and share Jess's link here in the chat. And I encourage all of you to follow her on social media. She's on Instagram as Jess Holliday and Be Here Well, and all of her links will be available in the Facebook group also. So
it's a holiday with a double L. It's more than just a mini break. Everyone gets that.
Double L's. Thank you for that clarification. All right. Beautiful. Lots of love and gratitude flowing your way, Jess. So thank you again.
I'm so pleased. You're so welcome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your patience as well, you know, live TV and all that. I just needed some kids. I've got an animal in the lounge. I just needed some kids, and then we'd have like the trifecta of live TV, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when we started the retreat this morning, there were not 1, not 2, but 3 lawnmowers that were going around me. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's just do this.
Just, you know, whatever. Like you say, it's Mercury retrograde, and we've just got to like stand in the center of our own storm and just be like, so this is what's happening today. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, we're riding it. Well, thank you again, Jess. And ladies, we'll go ahead and just take